Bison are being introduced to the Russian Arctic to replace extinct woolly mammoths, but why? Large herbivores could transform the local ecosystem by grazing and recycling nutrients, but the climate was probably more important in shaping the vast rigid grasslands of the Pleistocene. Scientists have introduced bison to the Russian Arctic to take on the role of extinct mammoths and help restore ancient ecosystems. 12 plains bison, that's bison, is a scientific name, have arrived in Gilor Natural Park in protected area covering more than 2.2 million acres, that's 900,000 hectares, in the northern Yamal Nanets Autonomous Area. The animals traveled 5,000 miles, 8,000 kilometers, from a nursery in Denmark and disembarked from their long journey 3 weeks ago. According to the statement, and before they can discover their new home, however, the bison, also known as buffaloes of course, must first complete a 1-month quarantine. Buffalo can easily adapt to the Arctic because historically it's their natural habitat. The Yamal Nanets Autonomous Area Department of Natural Resources and the Environment said in the separate statement, they can take on the role of mammoths, which became extinct 11,000 years ago, they said. Steppe bison and woolly mammoths roamed the Russian Arctic during the late Pleistocene epoch, that was about 2.6 million years ago to 11,700 years ago. Though a small population of disastrously damaged mammoths survived on an island off Alaska until about 4,000 years ago, most of these herbivores died out at the end of the Ice Age, when the climate became warmer and the grassy plains gave way to shrubs and trees. The Pleistocene ecosystem was treeless and had quite thick soils, said Mary Edwards, the Emerita Professor of Physical Geology at the University of Southampton in the UK. She said what you can see is geological sections of these kinds of landscapes. That is, over time, they're storing soil carbon. It's frozen by the permafrost and is basically a big carbon stack. The animals that lumbered across these frigid plains contributed to shaping a landscape by grazing and recycling nutrients. It's a nice cycle of animal dung fertilizing the ground and allowing the plants to grow, Edwards said. The thought is that the animals created the ecosystem. A very interesting idea. Now, in a bid to restore this Pleistocene landscape and its ability to soak up carbon, scientists are introducing large herbivores, such as plains bison, to different parts of the Arctic. Nikita Zimov, director of a restoration project called Pleistocene Park in Yakutia, has been bringing bison over from Denmark since 2019. For our rewilding efforts, we're bringing to the Arctic animals which either lived here during the Ice Age or those who could live here in the modern climate, he said. This year, Zimov brought a herd of 24 bison, half of which he gave to Gilor Natural Park in exchange for 14 musk oxen. These musk oxen almost went extinct in the early 1900s, but only a few scattered herds remain in the Russian Arctic, he said. With the musk oxen now en route to Pleistocene Park, Zimov said, he aims to restore high productive grazing ecosystems in the Arctic and through various ecological machinations mitigate climate change. But Edwards is skeptical. Animals can transform ecosystems locally, she said, but the climate during the Pleistocene was probably more important in shaping the landscape. It was too cold and too dry for trees and shrubs to grow, so you had grasses and different kinds of herbs covering the landscape, she says. Today's climate is much warmer and wetter, meaning the ecosystem may not be suitable for large herbivores. You have to change the landscape for them and create pastures, Edwards said. But modifying the landscape could have unintended consequences. Thawing permafrost means there is more water in the soil, which shrubs and trees take up. If you got rid of all the shrubs everywhere, they would get waterlogged. Edwards said, adding that this stagnant water could contribute to thaw and enhance the loss of carbon from soils. However, introducing these animals to the Russian Arctic is a very interesting idea, Edwards said. There's definitely a window for the reintroduction of some of the big lost animals of the Pleistocene. And this is from Live Science, Sacha Power. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.